Hey guys, and welcome back to FTB Interactions. Last episode we built the donut, and we also upgraded our turbines to the Plasma Turbines to give us a total of over 48,000 EU a tick each. However, I have a feeling we're going to have to add some more today. But first of all, I'd noticed that these steel turbines had almost run out of durability. They're very close to breaking, so I have a fresh set of turbine rotors that we were going to swap out. Oh, come on. Yeah, rotors are dangerous. Anyway, so our goal for today is to make Draconium, which we need a tier 2 fusion reactor for. However, I think we're going to come back to this, and we'll work on the Draconium recipe first of all. So to make Draconium, we have to mix red matter and osmiridium in our fusion reactor. And the osmiridium we already have, so I think we should have enough of this stuff. However, the red matter we have made before, but we're going to have to automate this. So we have argon already. We have to also get red matter, which requires void metal and dark matter, as well as some life essence. And we're going to start with the dark matter, which is vanadium ingots, empowered void crystals, and primal mana. And to get primal mana, we have to do mana dust, vintium dust, and deuterium. And to get mana dust, we have to do all of these thermal dusts plus unstable mana. And the unstable mana, it takes simple power catalysts. So I think this is where we're going to start. The first step for unstable mana is to place a mixer. We have to supply this with some life essence, which we can get from our ME network. Alright, and we also need redstone and gelled toluene. So to get the items in there, we're just going to add another interface. Yeah, we can put it next to it actually. Oh, I see you over there. Don't do it, spider. Alright, so that's us automated the production of simple power catalysts. We added the gelled toluene, the nether wart, and the redstone to this interface. So this now has to go into another mixer with ethanol and mana. The mana we're producing, however, we don't have a source of ethanol, so how are we going to get some ethanol? So we either need to do biomass or we can do wood vinegar. And I could be wrong, but I think we're actually already producing wood vinegar in this distillation tower next to the farm. Yeah, we have some wood vinegar here, which is being turned into acetone, but I think the usage on the acetone has went down significantly since we're no longer burning quite as much diesel. So to be able to transport our fluid, we need to put a fluid storage bus on this drum here. Alright, what we're going to do is move this over one block, break this conduit, and then we can fit our fluid storage bus on here. We'll set this also to extract only for the wood vinegar, and we somehow have to connect this up to our applied energistics system. Any second now this should turn online. Device online, cool. So now we have to distill that wood vinegar. Oops, that's not where I wanted the distillery. And we need to give this circuit 2. So we're just grabbing it from our fluid interface over here. And then we'll need another mixer put in between these. And I think we can just auto output the ethanol. So we'll put a robot arm on the bottom mixer. And we'll configure this to keep exact 64. Just so that it doesn't jam all the slots with the simple power catalysts. And then we'll also give it redstone on the insert of this item conduit. I've extended this from this interface. And we'll also give it some mana, but it looks like we're not getting quite enough ethanol. Huh, we're out of wood vinegar. Let me go and investigate that. You know what? I don't think this wood vinegar is going to cut it. We have to get a better way of getting ethanol. And to fix that, we're going to use our potatoes instead. So let's storage bus this. And I'll reclaim this fluid storage bus as we no longer need this. And I think this way is going to be much more reliable. We have potatoes in a brewery with water to produce biomass. Then we output that to a distillery below it, which combines with circuit 0 to give us the ethanol, which gets mixed with the redstone, the power catalysts, into unstable mana. And from here we need one more mixer to convert to the mana dust, and then a chemical reactor. So there's a mixer, and we'll request a chemical reactor. So coming out of this mixer, I have placed a fluid conduit set to round robin mode. We're going to want to buffer this as we need it later on as well. So this way we can put a fluid storage bus on this drum and we can have access to it for later on. But the rest will go into this mixer where we have to add our thermal dusts into our interface here. And finally we have our mana dust automated. Alright, and I added the chemical reactor to mix our deuterium, vintium, and the mana dust that comes out of this mixer. And with that, that's step 1 completed. The next step is the blast furnace for dark matter, which requires empowered void crystals, which is the Terrestrial Agglomeration Plate. So I think it's about time that we actually automated this thing. As right now, the way I'm using this thing is by standing here and pressing Q 3 times, which is obviously not ideal. So let's fix that. Alright, and Terrestrial Agglomeration Plate automation is completed. To be perfectly honest, I did try to record this and set it up at the same time, but that didn't go so well. So I'll just show you the finished setup here. The way this works is we have a interface from Applied Energistics supplying the pattern for the Mana Pearl, the Void Crystal, and the Flawless Coal. And we'll get back to the inputs for this Void Crystal in a second, but we have a little bit in our system just to test it out with. So when we request item, the inputs go into this impulse hopper from Ender.io, and this is filtered for one of each of the items for the craft. We also have this set to active with signal, and then we're pulsing this with a sequencer and an extended redstone signal. And because this is set to active with a signal, it'll only run when it receives a signal, obviously. And that means that we only can drop one set of items at a time. Now, I haven't tested this extensively, so I may have to mess with the numbers in the tuning here. But if, for example, we'll request more than one just to make sure it actually works and blocks the second set of items. Because if you have more than one craft worth on the agglomeration plate, it actually won't complete the craft. Yeah, as you can see, it puts the 3 items down. And there is enough time for it to get picked up before it sends the next slot of items. The way the items are getting picked up though is from this advanced item collector. Those get put into this chest and then they just go back to the same interface to complete the craft. So yeah, that's the way we're automating the agglomeration plate. There is one small issue with the way we have this set up, and that is that this depends on having mana in these mana pools. So right now we don't have any way of checking whether there is mana or not. So like, let's say for example we order like half a stack of these things. Eventually these mana pools will run out and it will just keep dropping items without being able to complete the craft. Although because we're putting the output in a blast furnace, I don't actually think that'll be an issue. Like, it's going to be 90 seconds for every piece of dark matter, and then we have to run that again through another 55-second blast furnace. So honestly, I think it'll be fine the way it is. But if we have to address this, we'll change it if it becomes an issue. But yeah, the inputs for this empowered void crystal takes mana pearls, which is unstable mana and Eye of Ender. This is the reason we had to buffer the unstable mana. So I've added this new assembling machine with unstable mana that comes out of the steel drum that we're buffering. Then we have an interface on the side of that to supply the pattern for the mana pearl. And the last piece for the empowered void is flawless coal. The void crystal, by the way, we have thousands of from our orbital miner. But the flawless coal, I did actually have to take a quick mining trip just to get some more coal. There was an ore vein not far from spawn actually. And then over here at our ore processing, I've added flawless coal into the sifter setup so that all the purified coal that comes out of our ore washers goes into the sifters and gives us a chance at the flawless coal. And this system is still back. I think this is going to be forever backed up. I don't think there's going to be a point where we can't say it is backed up. But yeah, there's a ton of coal to get processed in here. And we'll eventually get enough flawless coal from that. So yeah, the next steps is to blast furnace this into our dark matter, and then blast furnace once again into red matter. And to do that, I've repurposed this blast furnace over here with the superconductor coils. We used to use this for an aquada alloy. However, I've done something that I don't ever normally do, and that is do an on-demand blast furnace recipe. So I've separated a separate interface for this blast furnace, where we have the patterns for the dark matter, as well as the red matter. And this step we're just going to do it on demand. And the reason we're going to do it on demand is because we have so many of the intermediates to the red matter on demand. We don't have all of these things fully passived yet. And for the Draconium, every piece of red matter gives us 1296 millibuckets. And we only need 8 millibuckets per ingot of Draconium. So I think doing it this way is going to be just fine. And to be able to accommodate both of the recipes in this blast furnace, we have 2 separate input hatches. One is for the life essence for the red matter, and one is for the primal mana for the dark matter. And then the interface is sitting straight on the input bus where we have blocking mode enabled. And then the output bus is just sent back on the blue channel back to the interface to complete the craft. And with that we have the red matter fully automated. And the very last step in this process is the final blast furnace. This has to be 9000 heat. I don't remember which coil that is actually. Is that? Yeah, it has to be another superconducting coil blast furnace. So for this step, I've just added an extra input hatch for the argon, and I've also attached an output hatch, which will give us the fluid red matter. So we can just put our pattern in here. Right now, I just have it set to the ashes, which we get as a byproduct for this recipe, but eventually we will switch it out for Draconium, and then we'll hook this system up with the other fusion reactor, and have it fully chain all the way down to Draconium. But for now, if we request ashes, this is going to put a piece of red matter through this blast furnace. And to be able to store the output, we'll have to partition a fresh ME drive for this. So we'll partition for red matter. We'll give it a name. And add it to our almost full fluid storage drives over here. Alright, and the craft completed, giving us the red matter. And with that, that's both of the inputs for the fusion reactor. So let's actually look at building this thing. So there is a quest for the fusion reactor once again, for the Mark II. This actually does give us 16 pieces of Draconium, which is good. But to complete this quest, we need 8 fusion coil blocks, which I did order earlier on. These took ages to craft, but we do have them here. We'll pick them up for the quest. We also need the tier 2 casings, which take a lot of tungsten steel, as well as some more chrome. And between the episodes, I did process a whole lot of ruby, so we're up to, 3,000 chrome. We're going to be good for that. So 47 casings. Yeah, looks like we can craft these things. And look at the last piece of this puzzle, which is the Mark II fusion itself. So this requires the wetware supercomputers, which we set up last time. We also need field generators though at LUV, which is, wow, this is super expensive, okay. 4 emitters, which take, okay, even more stuff. IV emitters, which is crystal processors. Okay, that isn't too bad. But I think all this stuff we have automated. I'm a little bit concerned about our yttrium barium cuprate though. We only have 56 ingots left. And I noticed this earlier on, so I threw a bunch of quartz through it. It looks like it's not quite made it all the way down the ore processing line yet though. We can get barite from both quartzite and Certus quartz. And then the barite we're electrolyzing automatically into barium, which is crafted into our yttrium barium cuprate. But apart from the yttrium barium, let's see what else we're missing for this fusion reactor. We're missing some silicon rubber foil, that's easily fixable. And we're also missing, europium plates. Okay, let's do these europium plates then. And I remember doing this in Omnifactory as well. I think this is a fusion reactor recipe. Yeah, we have to create the liquid from hydrogen and neodymium, which means that we're going to have to swap out our recipe in the first donut over here. Let's double check how much buffer we have of oxygen plasma. Alright, so we're up to 584 buckets. That should be plenty to be able to sustain us while we turn this thing off. Alright, I grabbed the 2 fluids that we need. I got some neodymium and hydrogen. Let's turn this input off. Alright, so both input hatches are empty. We're just going to rotate these. And we'll put the drum of hydrogen on one side. We're going to also make sure to turn off the extract on this quantum tank. And in the second input, we're going to put our neodymium. And hopefully that should have started up. Yep, we should see our europium coming out of the other side. I'm going to let this use all of the neodymium. So we managed to get up to 144 millibuckets, which is enough for an ingot. So I made this quick fluid solidifier here. I'm going to put 1 ingot in here. And then I think we have to macerate this. And once we have our dust, we can put it in the replicator. Oh yeah, this is very slow. But I will eventually replicate into more. It means we don't have to use our fusion reactor for this anymore. So we just need enough for 4 ingots worth to make into 4 plates. And then we're almost at our fusion reactor Mark II. Alright, we got our Mark II fusion reactor built. I've switched this first one back over to making our oxygen plasma to power the turbines. And the way I have this one set up is we have one it has to be ZPM in this, for the tier 2 that is, energy input hatch on here, which did mean I was a few casings short, so I had to craft some more of those. But remember, every energy input hatch you have, I think you can have up to, 20 on the one reactor. Each one you add increases the capacity of the reactor. However, the recipe we're doing here for Draconium only requires 140,000 EU to start, and we have 20 million available on this, just with the one energy input hatch. So in fact, we probably could have done this in the tier 1, but we will need the tier 2 eventually, so we might as well leave that one doing our oxygen plasma, and we can use this for whatever other recipe we need. So you may also notice I have a couple of extra machines down here. I have an interface with the Draconium recipe in here, and the way I'm doing this is we have 18 osmiridium ingots as the input. Actually, I just realised this is backwards. This should be 1 osmiridium gives 18 Draconium. There we go. So we'll replace the pattern in here. This is going to put 1 osmiridium ingot into this fluid extractor. We're just going to auto output to behind it where there's the input hatch of the fusion reactor. And then the other input hatch on the other side is connected to this fluid interface which imports the red matter. And the output of the reactor from this block gets taken into this fluid solidifier where we get our draconium ingots. And then from there it just goes back to this interface to complete the craft. So let's try this out. I haven't actually tried this yet. I got these from the quest reward, as you might have noticed. So let's try order 1 piece of draconium. It will give us 18, of course, since that's how many we can get with the osmiridium. Alright, so I put it in the fluid extractor, but it didn't do anything. Yeah, I guess this has to be HV to melt osmiridium. So this should be able to melt our osmiridium. We've got the auto output set. This should go into the input hatch, and I think we're in business. We're making draconium. Wow, this is quite fast as well. Awesome, nice. And this does also depend on the amount of red matter we have in here, since both systems aren't actually connected. I guess technically there is a way to do that, but I think for the amounts that we need, it's probably not necessary. Let's see, we also get the quest for that, which gives us, oh, an advanced dislocator. Some more free draconium as well. Alright, so next up, now that we have draconium, I'd like to look into this energy core, as it's going to be nice to have some power storage, plus we need it for the quest. However, there's a few things blocking us from making this thing. The first of which is this max machine hull, which takes Neutronium, and we haven't quite made Neutronium yet. And actually in this pack there's 2 versions of Neutronium. There's the Avaricia Neutronium and the Gregtech Neutronium. And we need both, and as far as I know there's no way to convert between them. So for the purposes of this energy core we need the Gregtech Neutronium, which is also made in the Fusion Reactor. But it's not quite that simple. This is Gregtech after all. So the Fusion Reactor recipe requires Nequadria and Americium. However, to get Americium, we have to do another fusion reaction with chrome and lutetium. And to get lutetium, we need to do another fusion reaction with silicon and lanthanum. This does require 800, what is this, 800 million? No, I think this is 80 million. Yeah, we can do this one. The silicon, obviously we have lots and lots of silicon. The lanthanum, though, I think comes from... Actually, where does this come from? Ah, yeah. We can get it from centrifuge rare earths, which we should already have set up. Yeah, we have it right over here where we centrifuge the rare earths. We have a little bit of lanthanum. Let me run this through the blast furnace to make our ingots, and then we fluid solidify to put through the reactor. Alright, I managed to get 16 of each of the ingots. Again, this is more than enough because we can replicate the output of this again. So we really only have to do these recipes once or twice. So what we're going to do is, yeah, in fact, we'll turn off the auto output and we'll melt some silicon. Oh, I guess the input hatch actually grabs the fluid, I forgot about that. But we can throw in our lanthanum as well. Although before we can get this to start, we will need a few more energy inputs on this. So let me go and craft a few more ZPM energy input hatches. Alright, so I got 6 more. Let's see if this is going to be enough. These things are actually fairly cheap, all things considered. Probably cheaper than the LUV ones even. Uh-oh. Oh no. Not again. Our ME networks went off. I bet it's this taking all the energy. Yeah, it's trying to fill that thing. Okay, I don't know if this is going to be possible for us to do this then. We may first of all have to add some more turbines, as I suspected. At least the network came back online more or less instantly. But yeah, there's no way we're going to be able to sustain this reactor. So I guess we have to add more turbines then. Alright, we're just short tungsten steel pipe, which I didn't bother automating since we have no other way of making large pipe. And this is like pretty much the only use for it. Alright, so now we should be able to request our 5 more turbines. Yep. We have some spare turbine casings. We have 40. I think we'll have to craft some more though. And we'll also need the rotor holders. Maxed here. We'll need another 5 of those things. Hold on, don't we have Draconic cores automated? Oh, I guess I just never put in the recipe for these things. And you know what? It's actually occurred to me that we're not getting the full output of these turbines. We're getting apparently 48,640 EU a tick. However, on these we have LUV energy outputs, which are only capable of outputting 32,000. So we have to upgrade the energy output actually to ZPM tier. So let's do that. That will help at least a little bit. Alright, so I got most of them hooked up. I'm just waiting on the last of the plasma turbines crafting, as well as the rotor holders. But one thing is becoming clear, and that is that we need to upgrade this extruder. I've been waiting on this for the last, I don't know, 15 minutes with making me gears. And it's still got a number left to do for the HSSS stuff. But that is at least the last 3 plasma turbine controllers finished. That should form these 2 multi-blocks. I'm actually just going to use the rest of the durability on this thing. So I was wondering why these weren't starting, and then I realised that we have the wrong fluid in here. This should be oxygen plasma we want. Alright, now it should be starting. Yeah, now they're spinning up. Awesome, nice. And the 2 rotor holders have just finished, which means we can get our last 2 rotors placed. Cool. I wonder why these are different colours though. Is it based on durability? I don't know. Or is it just the lighting? Anyways, let's try and get back to what we were doing over here, which is trying to power this reactor. Let's see if we're going to cut out again. So that takes us up to 100 and... What is this? 140? It's hard to read without commas. I think that's 140 million, and we needed 800 million, so... Or, wait, yeah, we only need 80 million, and we have 140 million. So yeah, we're absolutely fine with this setup so far. So let's grab our lanthanum, and put it in this input hatch. Oh wait, hold on, this is still full of red matter, isn't it? Well, I definitely don't want to void that, so we're just going to put another input hatch on this reactor. And that will end up voiding this energy that we have in here, but I'd rather void the energy than void the red matter. And here we'll just manually input our lanthanum. And we're running, we should see our... Oh yeah, we see our lutetium come out here. Which actually, we don't actually want this as ingots, do we? We want this as a fluid. Yeah, because the next step is to mix with chrome to get our americium. And even though this is probably unnecessary, what I'm going to do is actually just macerate this and then replicate the dust at least once for each of these special types of ingots that come out of the fusion reactor, just in case we need them in the future. Oh no, and because one of them went into the fluid solidifier, it's going to mess up the ratios here. So we're going to be left with, well, we only have 2000 millibuckets, which is like 13.8 ingots of whatever. And to turn this back into ingots from the dust, we have to blast furnace this and then fluid transposer with gelid cryothium. But I don't think it's worth going through all that trouble. So I've melted some chrome and we're going to start the last reaction over here. So we need to put in our lutetium. Hopefully this should start our reactor, yep. And we'll get our americium, nice. So just to double check, we can actually replicate this americium as well, can't we? Yeah, it looks like we can replicate the dust once again. And this time we'll actually need quite a lot of americium as we use this in, well, both neutronium, which is what we're after right now. And we also use the plating in the fusion reaction casing Mark IIs, which is for the fusion reactor Mark III. And it's also used in the Mark III recipe itself with 4 americium plates. And this looks like it's taken a little bit longer to process than the other ones. So this reactor's almost run through all of the lutetium into americium. And what we're going to do is actually, I've made one of these volumetric flasks to be able to take out only 144 millibuckets. Because I'd like to keep some of this americium for the replicator, that is. But the rest we're going to use in the fusion reactor for now to turn into neutronium. So we're going to put an ingot's worth in the fluid extractor. Or the fluid solidifier, I mean. Macerate that once again. And we'll start to replicate for later on. But the rest of the stuff we have to mix with Nequadria. So I don't actually think we're making any Nequadria yet. Now we have some Nequadria dust. I presume that's from the enriched ore. But to get this to a fluid, we have to blast furnace this. 2000 seconds per ingot? Wow, okay. And then we have to freeze and then fluid extract that? Yeah. Luckily with the neutronium we can actually replicate this also. However, we only get 2 millibuckets per 16 millibuckets of Nequadria. So let's get that going right now because that's going to take a long time. I mean, I guess we're at LUV tier here, so it is getting overclocked quite heavily. So yeah, maybe it's not as bad as I first thought. And let's double check our power requirements as well. Okay, this is only 100,000 for the neutronium, which is fine. Alright, the Nequadria is just finished. Let's get our neutronium. So we'll melt the Nequadria first of all. That'll go in the first input hatch. And then americium in the second. I probably shouldn't have put all of that in. But again, we have spares with the replicator, so... Alright, so once that runs all the way through, we'll have our neutronium. And that also completes another quest in the creative tab. The last thing I think we're going to look into today is this energy core. So most of the stuff is actually easy now that we have our Draconium. The Wyvern core just takes 4 Draconium dust basically as an input. The rest of the stuff we already have. The energy core is also quite easy. The terrestrial screw, I think we still have some terrestrial left. Yeah, we have 4 ingots, which is enough. Which just leaves the Lapitronic energy orb. And a lot of this stuff we already have. We just made the Europium, so we can fluid solidify some more of those. Which just leaves the energy orbs, and this takes all the stuff we have except for this engraved Lapitron crystal chip, which takes the Lapitron crystals, which takes... Oh, there's actually several different recipes here. And after looking through them, I think we actually might just pick this one here. We can send some more sapphire through our ore processing system, through the sifters, and then we just need a laser engraver for this step here. Okay, so it turns out my math was way off here. Yeah, we need a lot more Nequadria than what we already have, because we already only have 54 millibuckets of neutronium. So I think I missed a number somewhere when I was calculating this out. Let me grab the rest we need and get the rest of the Neutronium though. And I've also added our purified sapphire to this filter over here, so that we can get our exquisites and then get the Lapitron crystals. Alright, and our Neutronium is finished. We got enough for 1 ingot's worth. So we can fluid solidify this. This will complete a quest, I believe. I wonder if we get any free for that. Oh, we do. We get another 4. Nice, so we'll definitely want to make sure that we replicate this. Oh, this has to be just neutral matter, and it has to be 5 buckets per dust. Wow, that is expensive. I'm going to finish encoding the recipes for these energy orbs, and then we'll be back, hopefully, to craft the energy core. So I put in all the recipes for the energy core, and we're just missing some Neutronium plating. To make the Lapitron crystals, I've added this laser engraver IV with the lapis lens in there, and we have the pattern for the engraved Lapitron crystals. And because of the high replicating cost of the Neutronium, I'm just going to take some neutral matter out of this machine. And we only need the 4 more ingots, I think, of Neutronium, since we got 4 from that quest reward, and we need 8 total. Wait a second, how long does this take? It's at 1%, and it takes 25,000 seconds at LV. Hold on, let me work out how long this is going to take with the overclocking. So with overclocking, this thing still takes 1,138.85 seconds at EV. So, wow. Alright, I guess I'll be back next year then. But once we craft the energy core, there's actually still a few more pieces that we need to be able to store energy in the thing. So if we check the Draconic Evolution information tablet here, it should tell us what we need. And it should be under storage core. Yeah, this thing. So yeah, we need 36 of these stabilizers to form a 3x3 around the ball. And we also need some energy pylons. I think we need 2 of these things. So let's see how bad these recipes are in interactions. Okay, the pylons are actually reasonable. This is actually not such a bad recipe. And the stabilizers, I remember these being expensive in Omnifactory. Let's see if we can get the 36 that we need. We're missing just some recipes actually. We can get all this stuff. And these blaze rods, actually we have to get from DML. It's probably the easiest way from DML. And we're still to actually set up DML in this pack. Right now, this is our whole DML setup. So maybe that's something we'll actually do on stream. I was thinking about doing a stream tomorrow actually, starting at 12 PM GMT. Same as usual, I think we'll go for another 5 hours. So if you have some spare time in the afternoon, maybe check that out if you're interested. But I'm going to try and keep most of the progression for the videos, and we'll just be doing some miscellaneous cleanup. Maybe working on some building, and yeah, try to prepare for the end of the pack. Hold on, where's this going again? The matter infuser. Oh yeah, this is the infernal deconglomerator. This is the matter infuser over here. But yeah, this energy orb also takes a fair amount of redstone if I recall. And we only have 14,000. We may have to process some more of that. Oh yeah, this also takes draconium blocks on the inside as well. I'm not sure if we can afford this yet. So I was doing some math trying to calculate this out, and we need 1,800 pieces of draconium ingots for the tier 7, which is actually only 11.6 red matter. Right, because each piece of red matter melts into 1296 millibuckets, and then we get 162, I think, draconium per piece of red matter. So actually, this doesn't seem too bad as long as we have enough redstone for this. So let's first of all order another 11 pieces of red matter, and I should probably change this out. I just realized that this input bus on the input bus of the blast furnace is actually getting the output of the blast furnace. When we pipe it back in here, this input bus basically steals the item before it can go back into the applied energistics system. So to fix that, I'm going to swap out this conduit just with another interface, and that will put it straight in our system without putting it back into the input bus. And just before we finish off the video here, I noticed that it's almost Horologium Day. And Horologium is one of the astral sorcery constellations. This only appears once every 36 Minecraft days. So it's quite rare, and I wanted to take this chance to actually attune some celestial crystals. We're going to need these celestial crystals later on in the production of Neutronium, and I'll explain all that next time, but for now I did craft this observatory, which actually isn't too bad. It's a fairly cheap recipe, all things considered. We do have to have a rock crystal attuned to Lucerna for that, which I think should still actually be in this table. Yeah, it's still in there. But the observatory is required to discover the dim constellations. And I also made this eclipse clock, which is pretty cool. It allows us to skip time using the time in our time in a bottle. Okay, it turns out it wasn't actually day 956 or 57. Although there is some weirdness whenever you use this eclipse clock, because if we look at the map here, it says it's day 957, but if we do a /time query day, it says dimension 100, which is the dimension we're in, apparently is 956. So it does desync somewhere, and I don't know which number Astral Sorcery will look at. So I'm going to hang around here until I can get this attunement altar to show Horologium. It's near day 957. Alright, I double checked my notes, and I think it's actually day 963. We're going to skip to 63 here. Okay, maybe 62. 62 seems to work, so I'm not going to argue with that. Anyways, I got some Celestial Crystals here to maximum tier. We're going to attune 3 of these things. There's the first one. I don't actually think we'll need 3, but since this constellation is so rare, I'd rather make more than we actually need. Alright, that's number 2 done. Nice. But all this stuff is going to take some time. The Neutronium still hasn't made its first piece. We're at 57% here. And we have to get all the Draconium, which is going to take a long time in that blast furnace up there. So why don't we wrap things up for today? We'll come back tomorrow on stream actually, and we'll hopefully build our energy orb. And then after that, I think we're going to look into the other version of Neutronium, the Avaricia one, which involves some Ender Chickens and some shenanigans on Aurelia. So yeah, we've got that to look forward to. So yeah, we'll finish things off here for today. We upgraded our power. We got a lot of the tedious fusion reaction recipes done. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what's next. Check out the stream tomorrow if you fancy. But thank you again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for some more FTB interactions.